It's time I gave Tony some kind of sign. I've been stalling. There's an apartment lease in Beijing waiting for initials and a work contract that needs negotiating. You haven't asked, is what I finally whisper into the phone. Okay, he says slowly, and there's a lilt to his voice. I'm asking if the four of us can move to China. I hear him take an excited breath. And that's when I hear myself say yes. And that one small word sets our family in motion. My name is Susan Conley, and my book, The Foremost Good Fortune, tells the story of moving to Beijing, China with my husband and my two young boys. We lived there for close to 3 years, and the book maps the story of our wild ride in China, and it also looks at what happened when I got breast cancer in China, and our family had to translate that as well. We went to China on the premise of my husband's new job, but really we were ready for a great life adventure. I've been a writer for as long as I remember. The whole time that I was in China, I knew I wanted to write the story of our being there. When I started the book, I wanted to tell the story of two little boys in China who didn't speak the language and came to an understanding of Mandarin. What I didn't know was that the book was going to change and also be the story of cancer in our family. So I think I found my voice for this book when I realized that I was going to write this story to a close friend, almost as if I was sitting on the couch talking to someone who I knew really well. And once I found that voice, I trusted that voice and I trusted the reader. When we were in Beijing, we took a lot of photographs. It seemed like every time we went out on the street, there were dozens of things that we wanted to take pictures of. Part of what I do in my day job is I'm a writing teacher, and I often talk about taking photographs with words. I often encourage my students to try to bring the reader there to the place, to make the reader feel like they're right there with them. When I wrote the book, I would pick a photograph in my mind and I would paint that scene. A lot of the time I was in Beijing, I had this feeling of, oh, if you could only see what I'm seeing. This is the most amazing country in the world. This is the most fascinating place I've ever been. To talk about a place that's that epic and that dazzling, you have to keep your focus really small. And for me, Thorn and Aiden became the lead characters of a story about living in Beijing. Experiencing Beijing through the eyes of Aiden and Thorn. Aiden was 4 and Thorn was 6 when we got to Beijing. It made me more open to the experience as well. They asked all those wonderful big questions about how we got here and why China was on the other side of the globe from the United States and what people were doing when they woke up in the morning in the United States. In a way, having small children when you have cancer is emboldening because it makes you fight harder. I felt like I couldn't let the cancer distract me too much from the fact that I had these two little boys. And I think that that's one of the huge challenges for every mother that is diagnosed with any kind of disease. I feel like the book takes the family on this great ride to China, and then it detours into this land of cancer, and then it comes back out again. And that's because that's what cancer does. It somehow has to meld into the rest of your life if you're going to continue. It's so important to put a human face on cancer because there is often a perception that that story is just a story of sadness and pain. And instead, there's great moments of humor, and there's all kinds of learning that goes on. I feel lucky because I got to tell my story, and in doing so, I got to make sense of it.